To dress this fly, I'm using a vintage sneck hook, which to my mind gives the best profile for North Country spiders. Traditionally, what you find is that the pattern was not finished at the eye, but was in fact finished at the bend of the hook. And you can see this technique of finishing the fly at the bend of the hook on numerous examples of smoke flies. But for this purpose, I'm going to finish the fly at the eye. For the silk, I'm using a vintage spool of brown Purcells. Sometimes the pattern is dressed with purple silk, sometimes with orange, and sometimes with brown. But in reality, the silk is never seen because it's covered by the peacock herl body, so it doesn't really matter. For the body, I'm using peacock herl. You don't need to use peacock sword fibres or fibres taken from a peacock eye. You just need a nice, fully fibred herl, something like this. To dress the fly, we come in with our tying silk and take 2 or 3 nice, firm turns of silk to trap it down, like so. And now, taking our peacock herl, we simply trim off that brittle end and we mount the peacock herl onto the hook with some nice, firm turns of silk. Now, bringing your silk down the hook shank in tight touching turns to a point somewhere between the end of the barb and the point of the hook. Now in tight touching turns, we come up the hook shank with our silk and we start to form a nice little underbody to the fly. And we can basically dance up and down on the spot here. We just create a nice bulky underbody. Now we bring our silk to a point about 2/3 of the way up the hook shank. Now taking your peacock herl, we simply form the body by bringing the peacock herl in nice tight wraps up the hook shank. And to really get a nice buggy feel to the fly, we just simply brush back those peacock herl fibres with every preceding turn. And you'll see that the fly body starts to bulk up nicely. Once you come to a point where your silk is waiting for you, simply trap it down with 2 nice tight turns of silk. Snip off your waist end, and now we come for our hackle. The hackle, originally it was a poult hackle from underneath a juvenile grouse wing. Some use Scandinavian or hooded crow, which is what I'm using here, and you can of course substitute these for a light smoky grey hen hackle, or even a jackdaw throat hackle. Like all North Country spider patterns, we brush back those hackle fibres to expose the tip, and we mount the hackle in by the tip. If you want, you can simply just trim that tip down a little bit, like so, and we bind it onto the hook with 2 nice tight turns of silk. Taking your hackle in your hackle pliers, you now wrap the hackle in nice, even, symmetrical turns. one straight after the other. It's up to you how many turns of hackle you want. These hooded crow hackles are quite sparse in the fibre, so you can take a good 2 or 3 if you can. Once you've taken your hackle turns, now come with your silk and again bind that hackle stalk down with 2 or 3 nice tight turns. Snip off your waist end, and now we come again with our second hurl. Like the first, we trim off the brittle point and we trap it down with some nice firm turns of silk. And now again for the secret weapon, we take our spool of hen's cintron thread and we catch down our original silk with 3 or 4 nice tight turns. Now come in with your scissors and cut off your original silk and the waist end of the cintron thread. If you want, you can just take another couple of nice tight turns just to make it more secure. Now with your second peacock hurl, you simply form the head of the fly. Once you're happy with the size of the head and the density of the hurl, trap that down with 2 or 3 nice tight turns of the cintron thread. Cut off the excess hurl. Come in with your whip finish tool and place a nice tiny whip finish in front of the hurl head. Cut off your thread. And now with your bodkin, simply tidy up the fly. And there you have the smoke fly.